So there's been quite a bit of information going around, especially with the Half-Life 3 rumors circulating and getting more and more. It does seem to have some credence. And from what we have been hearing and from what I've been hearing from some sources outside of the usual channels, I mean, even Destin at this point believes that Half-Life 3 is real. Yes, you've heard that right. Could it actually be happening? But we do have some more information and about that, along with Wukong XBOX version. There seems to be more problems than anything with that game, but we do finally have some information for it, and of course there are other bits of news as well. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm TheChaosLounge. Let's get right in. Okay, so the first piece of news we're going to be covering here, of course, is Half-Life 3. Half-Life 3 is pretty much one of the most wanted games, I'd say, of all time, even more than GTA 6. In fact, if this and GTA 6 came out at the same time, I actually believe Half-Life 3 would probably win. That said, though, we do have a bit of information. Half-Life 3 is real, and Valve are trying to hide that we're going back to Zen, leaked towards semi-open world, weather system, day and night cycles, smart NPCs that can talk with you. I was working on this video for 3 years. Now, I'm going to have a link to this video in the description below because it is quite interesting, but it does show you that there's actually been multiple development teams trying to get Half-Life 3 made. And every time they kind of hit a roadblock and it doesn't kind of work out, and it kind of disassembles the team, and they start again. Now, Half-Life Alyx, when it came out, that was kind of like an experiment to see what they could do, what they could innovate and push forward. And that is something that Valve loves to do. They love to innovate. They like to change. They like to bring something to the table that's new, exciting, fresh, to keep those, the user entertained, engaged. And so it does look like on the back of Half-Life Alyx, that vision, that desire has propelled, and it looks like there's more to this than meets the eye. But there's no real confirmation from Valve. They're not going to say anything until they're ready to talk. But it does look like Gabe Follower does have a bit more of a scoop on this. Obviously, it's all speculation at this point, and if you check out the video, it's like 18 minutes long. It does have a lot more info in there with the data mining and whatnot, but really cool stuff, definitely worth watching. And if we're looking here, huge rumor, Half-Life 3 is real, and again, it's just going through the same thing. Valve keeping on the Rabs, going to Zen, semi-open world. Do you want Half-Life 3? Source, Gabe Follower. None of the info is official yet, but merely reports from the aforementioned source who discusses it in depth in the video. So that video is really important. Definitely check it out. But more or less, it's more the stuff that I've already covered with some extra stuff on the side for you codies out there. But do you want Half-Life 3? If you could pick between Half-Life 3 and GTA 6, which way would you go? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, if you've made it this far, do consider leaving a like and subscribe. We are trying to hit 7,500 subs. Do consider hitting that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. I do try to release videos daily for your viewing pleasure. Some great videos, some short videos, but I am experimenting, especially with shorter videos for trailer impressions and stuff like that. I do hope you're enjoying those. So if you are enjoying the content, do consider supporting and hitting that like, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. Okay, moving on. So, XTest1, who broke the news about Forza Horizon 5 coming to PlayStation 5, and then changed and said it's going to, it's coming later on. But I've also heard personally that Forza Horizon 5 is one of the games in development, but we'll see where that goes and if that ever materializes, and 3 to 6 months time we'll know for sure. Now, it says Black Myth Wukong is not coming to Xbox due to a memory leak error. This is likely on the Series S, not the X. game is basically finished and they're still working hard for it to pass Xbox certification, but it's still delayed indefinitely. Now, I find this a little weird when games in much worse state have actually passed the certification process. This certification process is what's required when you finish a game. You send it to Microsoft and Sony, and they run it through their QA department. Once it passes their standards and QA department to make sure everything is compliant, the game is completable, it's in a good place, then they give their certification to say that this game can come out. Now, you may be wondering, why wasn't this done with Cyberpunk 2077 and they allowed it to release in such a mess? That's a good question, and this is why I've always said the buck when these games release in such a broken state, unless it's on PC, which is unregulated, they don't have to apply for any certification, they can just release their games freely and however they want. When it comes to Xbox and PlayStation, they need to pay a lot of money to Microsoft and Sony to get that certification. So if Microsoft and Sony are passing it and the game is getting released, because it can't get released with this, the buck has to stop with Microsoft and Sony. But in this occasion, apparently it's failed twice. At Gamescom, I spoke to Xbox insiders and developers who informed me about the technical issue affecting the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox consoles. Apparently the game is suffering from a bug known as memory leak, which can cause significant crashes that could compromise the performance of your Xbox console. A memory leak essentially is, it hard locks your machine. Because of this issue, the game has not passed Xbox's bug detection tests and has therefore been delayed indefinitely until they manage to optimize the game for the Series X and S. Now, considering the Xbox Series X is pretty much a PC anyway, it runs on a modified Windows 10, it has DirectX 12 Ultimate as a DirectX software, which PC supports as well. I can't imagine that the port from PC to Xbox is going to be that different, right? Now, what is going to be an issue, obviously, is the Series S and its lack of memory. That 8 gigabytes of available memory is just not enough, and I believe that the reason why this is failing and this is crashing is because the Series S just can't cycle the memory fast enough in order to be able to continue and get the game functioning properly. This would mean that if the Series S is to blame, which has become a traditional meme among Xbox fans and non-Xbox fans, well, Xbox Series X gamers who paid a lot of money for their console are now unable to play their games because of the Series S. Now, we saw this recently with Baldur's Gate 3, where the same situation happened there, and they did eventually, with Microsoft's help, find a workaround that did in fact help optimize the Series X and the PS5 version that bit more to get those extra bit of frames. So there is some positives for trying to get it to work on the Series S, but at no point should the weaker console prevent the main, the Series X console from receiving the game. But due to the parity clause that Microsoft has enforced, if you can't release it on the S, the X simply won't get it. The studio is already working hard to resolve this issue and achieve the necessary certification. Once they get approval, they will set a release date for the game, but they do not know when or how. But apart from that error, the game is close to being ready. Now, obviously, they're going to be trying to get this to work. There's no real end date. As time goes on, it starts to enter into diminishing returns. If they can't get this working in the next month or two, maybe 3 months, at some point they're going to have to pull the plug and the game will officially be cancelled. At the moment, it is indefinitely delayed, and that just means that there's no date for its release, but this could easily be cancelled 2-3 months down the line if a resolution cannot be found and if Microsoft is not willing to not release this on the S, but the X. And at that point, I think they would have a lot more complications on their hand if they actually did go down that route. Which kind of sucks for X owners, because apparently this game is really good. I've actually got this on PC now, but I haven't had the chance to play it. I got it from my son who wanted to play it, so I'll find out from him first-hand review, like impressions, and see what he thinks. But he's I'm assuming he's loving it because he hasn't stopped playing it since I got it for him yesterday. So who knows? But at the end of the day, it's a shame. First Baldur's Gate, then this, then you had that Lord of the Rings game also delaying on Xbox due to technical issues, and these technical issues all have to stem to the Series S, not the X, because the X is more than capable. If the PS5 can run it, then the Series X can run it too. So these all have to stem back to the Series S. But it's, hopefully we'll get some good news about this and we can move on swiftly. Now this one is probably gonna annoy some people or not. I wouldn't look too much into this, but apparently Third Kind Games is assisting Fable in their development. Now, why is this kind of noteworthy? Why is this interesting? Well, Third Kind Games is also the company that came in to Sea of Thieves in order to help them port the game to the PS5. So this could just be a coincidence, and they could just be brought in to support the Playground Games on the development of Fable in areas that they are more expert in. But at the same time, this doesn't bode well. There is always going to be that link, and it wouldn't surprise me if social media started to run rampant, especially with Third Kind Games getting involved, that a PS5 port of this is going to be made. Now, we've already heard Phil turn around and say that pretty much, more games will go. It's not going to slow down. They are going to continue doing this. So it's very possible that Fable is going to be one of those games, but time will tell. This is all speculation at this point and not worth going into any more. Finally, I wanted to talk about this. The PS5 Pro was an open secret at Gamescom 2024, and this is a mock-up of what it would look like by a fan, but basically what was discussed is that there's a 45% performance improvement in rasterized rendering thanks to a larger GPU and faster memory, huge improved ray tracing architecture delivering 2-3 times speed up on average with peaks of 4x. Now do keep in mind that the developer that was talking about this, they don't actually have the dev kits, they just have a spec sheet of what the console should be able to do. Obviously, what it should be able to do and what it does in real terms could vary quite greatly. Custom machine learning architecture that supports 300 TOPS at 8-bit to power the PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution, the PSSR, upscaling technique basically. Sony's version of multi-frame Super Resolution based on the PlayStation machine learning algorithm. So they're creating their own frame generation technology that they want to use themselves. PSSR is an ML enhanced version of temporal anti-aliasing upscaling, TAAU, that requires inputs similar to NVIDIA DLSS or AMD FSR and fully supports high dynamic range HDR pipelines. It also does not require per game training like the latest version of DLSS. So what this is saying is, unlike DLSS, which kind of needs to be specifically enabled and built, or put into the game to support, PSSR will not require that. Once it's done, it will kind of work everywhere else and provide you at least a blanket performance increase with the frame generation to every game that's made on PlayStation. It's kind of cool tech. Obviously, this is, again, all hearsay, and whether this is actually real or mystical or a unicorn or a pony running into the fields over the rainbow, who knows? One can only imagine. But what you can know for sure is that you can click that like button, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release, and that for a fact will help grow this channel and support me. You can also support me further through the YouTube membership and of course the super thanks. That will go greatly towards helping me and doing what I do best. And that is, of course, bringing you amazing content, daily content, which you absolutely love seeing. But At the moment, Half-Life 3 could be real. If it is real, that's going to be absolutely amazing. Maybe I should stream Half-Life Alyx at some point on a stream to go through that, because it's a really good game. But then you've got the whole Fable news. Is TKG's involvement for a PS5 build, or are they just there to support them? A lot of questions with that one especially, and I know that now that this is actually out there, it's going to go rampant, but it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that discussion, and I will see you in the next one. As always, remain legend.